So to continue to develop our variation, I have gone and added a little bit more. Notice I've got a few more notes here for A. Because it's an A7, I can add an extra note. I don't need to add that. I've got a D chord here, and before I only had the D and the F sharp and the A, which are the three main notes. Well, here I've got D, F sharp, and A, and I've repeated the D. So you can repeat the notes if you like. Here I've got A7 again, but I've got the E at the top. I've still got the C in the same spot and the G in the same spot. So I've just inverted those chords so that they're still the same notes. For A, it's A, C sharp, and E, as you'll know from your chord building, plus a seventh note of G if you want to. But whenever there's a seventh there, it's not something you strictly have to follow. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can add some embellishments, some enhancements, so that you can add more variety. The first thing I'm going to do is take out the piano melody and give it to the flute. All I have to do there is copy it if I want to keep it, or cut it if I don't want it to be in the flute, in the piano part anymore, and then paste it. So now I don't have the sound of piano, but flute. Lovely. So I could do that with the rest of the piece. I could give this to a clarinet if I wanted to, but for the time being, I am just going to completely get rid of this part. So pretend I wasn't going to do any more than this, and I go I for instrument, I choose that piano, and I remove it. Remember, if I make it invisible, it's still going to be there, and it's still going to play if there are any notes there. So I can remove it. If you're not totally sure that you want to do this, remember you can save it with today's date, do another version, save as. So if you've decided you've made a mistake, then you can copy some of the old stuff. This will be 8 bars long, but for the moment, I'm going to get rid of the extra bars. And what you do is you select the first and then hold shift and select the rest. If I just hit delete, it just removes all the notes, which there weren't any anyway. So in order to delete these extra bars, I hold control and then hit delete. So control delete will get rid of extra bars, and the opposite, control B, will add extra bars. So now I'm looking at a proper piano part, which has a brace there because I added it through I for instruments, and it will do it correctly. And now I've got a flute part. So often one of the instruments you want to be louder or softer than the other, and that occurs in dynamics. The dynamics are there, piano being soft, and if you hover over it, it just tells you it's P. Sorry, you've just got to know music. So I'd like my main melody at this point to be a little bit louder. I'd like that to be mezzo forte. So I choose the starting note where I'd like it to be, click on mezzo forte, and then it appears, and it will apply all along the way until something else happens. So say here I want it to be forte, I choose F for forte, and it goes there. If I want to crescendo along that way, perhaps I'll set my, my piano part to mezzo piano. Just make sure I put that there. Remember, the piano only gets one in the middle, and then maybe up here, I know it looks like I'm putting it on a rest, but there is definitely a note there. And I want these to crescendo. So I've set my dynamics, and right now it should show that the piano is a little bit softer than the flute. Now it sounds a bit more musical. To add a crescendo is under lines. It's dynamics as well, but you'll find it here under lines. So where do I want to start my crescendo? And I click on crescendo, hairpin, fantastic. And you can drag it out. There it is. I could copy that and copy it in there. Still got to drag it out, or I could just add a new one. And this should play with those dynamics. Fantastic. So that's how you add the dynamics. You might want to change the articulation. So you would add staccatos. That's under articulation. You should be able to select a whole bar, and it will add, or remember, you can always hold shift to select several things. I might also like to add a phrase marking that will bring this whole group together. Phrase marking is also under lines, and it's actually the very top one. Now I should be able to change that phrase marking if I want to extend it out a little bit more, or if it's getting in the way of my chords. You can also do it quickly by hitting S for slur, and S for slur will add that same kind of phrase marking or slur. It's important that you do add these marks, the dynamics, the articulation marks, and and the lines of articulation, the lines of dynamics and expression, because they will be a great way that you can vary your piece.